We're chatting here with Charles Esten. He plays Ward on Netflix's Outer Banks, which is coming out on Friday. He's also he plays Deacon on Nashville on CMT. I wanted to ask you this because there's so many fights in Outer Banks. Like JJ's always getting beat up. You know, there's always some fights, and you've been involved in some of those. Do you guys ever accidentally make full contact when you're doing them because they look so realistic?
Well, you know. We're all really careful, and there are stunt folks there, but we do a tremendous amount of our own stuff. And these guys are big, strong guys. So I'm fighting when I'm fighting John B. That's Chase Stokes and I going at it. Not to mention the fact that frequently, like you'll start a take, like they'll go action, and you're supposed to be incredibly out of breath and so what we will do is we will sort of scrap. Like for the seconds before the whole thing happens, we'll be actually going at it. I've come close before. There was a time on Nashville where I was playing in the early season of Nashville. It was Deacon Claiborne, and he wasn't going off the wagon, but he was full-on dry drunk in a very bad place, and his mentor, his sponsor, Coleman Carlisle, played by the great Bob Wisdom, who's absolutely a big, big dude and very strong, very commanding presence. And Deacon ends up pushing Coleman against the wall, and he has his hand on his throat, and he's just got him jacked up against the wall. And we're being very careful, and we're going at it, and I'm trying not to hurt his trachea, so I'm not really pushing as hard. It's actually my forearm, that sort of bone between your elbow and your wrist. I've got up under his jaw, and his head is turned slightly to the side, so I won't hurt his throat at all. And I'm not really pushing it anywhere near as hard as it looks like I am. But while we're doing this, I see his eyes start to flutter, and then they sort of roll back in his head, and I'm thinking, this guy is an amazing actor because he looks an amazing actor, by the way. He looks like he's about to, and suddenly a voice in my head went, "You're cutting off his carotid artery."
You just killed him.
So I was ever so gently, that sharp bone on your arm had stopped the blood flow, and he was sagging down the wall, and I immediately pulled my arm off, and as soon as I did, all the life came back into his eyes, and I was like, oh my God, are you okay? So he was fine. He was like, keep going, we're good. He didn't even for a second. It was just sort of the thing where in the passion of it, in the heat of that moment, that fight, so you got to be careful for sure, but that was the closest anything I've ever come to done. And man, he was like, I'm fine. Let's go.